I also heard Yamato kind of talk about how Peke had a very predictable champion pool, maybe a weak one. Not sure I agree 100% with this statement, but I want to see how ROCCAT plays it out. Victor ban is obviously straight at Peke here, and with Azir also banned against Nuclear. So a lot of mid lane bans early on. Yeah,
speaking of Peke, and of course his opponent in that lane, it will be Nuke. The Ryze banned away too. Not really surprised there, since up until today we were seeing quite a lot of them taken away. Won't get a chance to shine this game.
But now you have the problem, if you are ROCCAT, do you ban Sivir or Rumble? Or do you leave both of them open? Because we know Origen likes to run Rumble in top lane. I think it's the best pick for Soaz. Mid-game power spike and enables Peke to play Varus in the mid lane as well. But at the same time, Sivir is such a contested pick, so ROCCAT needs to make a decision. Either you ban one of them and risk the other one getting first picked, or you leave both of them open and you try and trade, potentially get maybe an Alistar pick for Vander, maybe get a priority jungler with either Sivir or Rumble on your side of ROCCAT.
Yeah, I mean, there really has been a lot left up with all of those targeted mid lane bans. The Corki is actually banned away versus Niels. That leaves Sivir up, that leaves Kalista up, that leaves Rumble up.
Yeah.
Origen and things like Alistar, for example, have gone completely unchecked. Not to mention our top tier jungle picks. What does Origen take as their first?
Well,
it's like, it's gonna be that Sivir.
When Sivir is open, especially in Europe, you almost have to first pick her every single time. She's just such a power pick in the meta for these European teams. Even though Kalista is open, that's where you can make the argument. Was it worth it? Was the value high enough compared to taking that Rumble, which we should expect Steve to lock in on his side? The Corki ban, first of all, Origen has used Corki really well. Again, it's the mid-game power spike. It's where they get all the wins, basically. But it's also just because they wanted to leave the Rumble Sivir open. At least that's what I'm expecting. If they give both of them over to Origen, I feel like ROCCAT is in a scary position. Let's see if Source even wants to play it, though. Maybe I'm just talking too much about the one pick.
Yeah, this is interesting. Not only do they lock in the Alistar and not the Rumble, they take a Nidalee for Jankos. I was actually sure he was going to save his jungle pick for a little while, since he has that pocket Lee Sin, which Amazing keeps alternating between and Rek'Sai. So they definitely have a plan in mind here. The question is, what is it?
And again, we would expect the top lane pick for Source, unless he wants maybe his hands on a fifth, a champion. Both him and Steve have played before here in the EU LCS, but Nidalee, most banned jungler in week 8. The Runeglaive buff really benefited her. Fantastic early game. She's also one of the few AP junglers you can use that once again can enable certain other compositions like the physical mid laners. If Nuclear wants to play Varus, which I think has been his best champion, together with Victor, all split long. Victor was banned away from ROCCAT. That would enable then the Varus pick if he wants it. Rumble again left open, falling further down the list than expected.
Yeah, we'll see if Steve goes ahead and snaps it up this time. Morales is eyeballing the Kalista as Origen had locked in not only the Rek'Sai for Amazing, but of course that Shen. That's still a flex pick though, so if it isn't ending up a Rumble pickup here, it can go to Soaz.
So I said yesterday that Soaz hates to play Shen. That is obviously from back when I was a player and playing against him. He often talked about it. We even saw Yellowstar go top lane to play it, and then Soaz will go down and play Blitzcrank in the bottom lane. He then tweeted yesterday that he no longer hates playing it, so he could go to top lane, but Seaga's Mithy had a pretty good performance yesterday on the support Shen. We should expect to go to him. Also because Sivir is one of these AD carries who can just handle herself. She can sit alone even in a 1v2 situation once she gets a few levels, and then you can start using the global pressure of the Shen pick.
All right, so clearly Steve is going back to something he's had a much more comfortable time on, this Maokai. Remember, he has won a number more games of it. Picked it 7 times so far here in Europe. This will be number 8. And that does leave the Rumble free if they do decide to go for Shen support. They still need a mid laner here for Peke, with a lot taken off the table. I don't think he'd want to grab up that Varus. That would leave his team very heavy on physical damage.
Well, it would mean the Rumble top lane.
Yeah, that's one option,
If they want to run that composition, something we have seen time and time again for Origen. However, if they do go for Twisted Fate mid lane, I feel like that's because they are expecting the Varus pick to come in from ROCCAT, and Twisted Fate has a lot of ways to outplay poke. He has good wave play himself, he has pick potential, which is so key when you play against these poke compositions. You always want to try and split them up and catch them one by one. You don't want to like run face first into the poke comps, especially not a Varus who can just land the Chain of Corruption. So Twisted Fate offers so many counterplay options. You then have the split pushing of the Fizz, you have the ulti of the Shen. So Origen is building a composition that can deal with the Varus pick. Is Nuclear confident enough to say, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to pick it anyway? Or will he go for more team, like just pure, safe mage in the mid lane?
Or
that doesn't get too countered by these pick potentials. That could also be So basically,
all right, we got some knockups.
ROCCAT is just saying, okay, we're not falling into the trap of picking a poke champion here because we know you've already built a comp to play against it. So we're just going to go full, head first, 5-on-5 team fights. If you want to create picks, we don't care. We're just going to hard engage somewhere else. And we have enough tools to get onto you and kill you. And we have the Nidalee jungle, Maokai top. That's the magic damage from ROCCAT. So you can pick one of these physical mid laners. That is still going a little bit heavy.
Well, it does have some nice synergy to it. Combos up with the Alistar if they can do it effectively. It also should be, and the Maokai, should be very effective in lane versus the Twisted Fate. All those cards can just get win-walled.
Yeah, win-walled, the cards here can play fairly aggressive. However, Twisted Fate might just try and shove out the wave and say, you know what, I'm not here to trade with you. I'm here to snowball my Fizz in the top lane. Because look at this here. If you try and gank Soaz, Pekka is going to show up and say hello. Amazing on ROCCAT is going to ult you up and say, hey, I'm also here. And Mithy is going to say, you know what, guys, I'm going to TP in as well. So instantly 4 members are going to be there from Origen side. Obviously, poor little Nils is going to be left on his own somewhere to just sit and wave clear.
Yeah.
But how do you then stop Soaz in the split push? You don't. You have to be able to force 5-on-5 team fights if you are ROCCAT here. That's why they're not picking the poke compositions. That's why they're picking the all-in after seeing what Origen have been building.
Well, with that, the stakes are set, and they are high for ROCCAT here. Origen only really playing for the fun of it at this point. But who do you think is going to walk away with the win? Why don't you hit us up on Twitter with hashtag OGWin or hashtag ROCWin? Will we see ROCCAT blasting off into the playoffs? They could do it with a win here, and we'll see as we load up onto the Rift.
Very clearly Origen here, not fooling around, despite, as you said, not playing for anything. Locked in second place. We'll have that bye week to spot what's going on in the quarterfinals and to see who they will be facing and preparing for. So still taking it very serious in the pick and ban phase, at least. And I like the way they were trying to bait ROCCAT into a poke comp, having all the counters for it. Obviously, they couldn't see the mid laner, last pick from ROCCAT. So good at adaptations then for both teams.
Absolutely, and you know, even if they've locked up the second place spot, it never means you want to completely give up on a game. That's not really what we want to imply there. Origen, and I caught up with Ducky in the hallway right before this game happened. He said, oh no, we definitely want to win.
Oh yeah.
They're going all out for this one, no doubt about it, but they can certainly rest a little bit as it goes. You go back to week number 3, remember that was the first loss that Origen suffered. ROCCAT, they're going to look to recreate a bit of that magic as you get ready for what it looks to be standard lanes. Vander going a little far forward, but he gets gold carded quickly.
Turning a little bit of damage with it, barely took anything though. But the reason ROCCAT managed to win back in week 3 was that Origen as a team, because they're running triple threat, it's always about maximizing farm on your carry. So you very often split up in this 1-3-1 where you farm every lane at once, and then you group after if you want a team fight, if you want to pressure one side of the map, and so on. That means you need a jungle and support who can roam between the lanes and set up that deep vision together. Like the jungle support synergy we talk about so often. That was shut down by ROCCAT. They managed to get kills on Mithy and Amazing while they were roaming between lanes trying to set up that deep vision. Once you get denied the deep wards, suddenly you cannot safely split up in the 1-3-1 and farm every lane because you don't know where the enemy team is going, you don't know if they're grouping, you don't really know what's going on, it's hard to pre-plan. And that's what ROCCAT used to simply force Origen into situations where they were bound to just teamfight, even in a deficit, and that's why ROCCAT managed to get away with the win. And it was a super smart game. They're looking to do the same with this Nidalee pick from Jankos. You can also roam with Vander, very safe 2v2 roaming from them, especially once Vander hits the level 6.
Well, and you know, Vander might, or Jankos might be playing with a little bit more swagger in his step too. He picked up that first blood yesterday, getting himself a little bit more
both supports
back
at
in the
level 2
for that. 2 supports going on the roam. Vander is looking to intercept Peke, who turns on the ghost, gets the gold card. So as playful tricksters over the wall. Mithy is going to be stunned up for just a second. In comes the Nidalee. Vanders is going in. The Origen might have bit off a bit more than they can chew. However, the Ignite secures the first blood for Soaz, and ROCCAT going to be out one member.
So what happened here was both teams started Gromp, but gave the Gromp over to the support. So they both hit level 2, and they had the exact same plan. Like, okay, we're gonna go and early gank the mid lane. It's something we have seen more and more from these European supports now, adapting to what we see a lot of the Asian teams do, these early roams into mid lane. Shendo, beautiful taunt from Mithy, locks in Vander here, and then they can chain it with some CC from Peke, managed to take him down in the end. I think Origen was there with multiple members a little bit earlier than ROCCAT. And then obviously the good taunt. Vander instantly realized, oh, I have to try and back away. They couldn't really do anything, and early first blood for Origen.
They do indeed secure that one up, and I was definitely wrong about the standard lanes because, of course, Mithy and Niels had been chugging away up in that top side for a little while. Mostly it was Niels, as Mithy did go on a bit of a roam, but should be able to push this one in. However, 3 members of ROCCAT are on the bottom side responding. They've also got Jankos waiting in the wings, taking out the Krugs and waiting to pounce onto Soaz if it gets too close.
Look at this here. Soaz is down in the bottom lane. He's waiting for his tower to die. Normally what we see is Soaz would be top here with his dual lane taking down the tower, and then he would get the wave once he bounces back after top tower goes down. But he's staying bottom lane after that mid lane skirmish. The tower won't go down just yet from ROCCAT. Try and reset another wave, but Soaz will just try and grab it instantly as tower dives. It means Amazing has to go up top, so he's obviously not able to farm. Jankos doing the same in the bottom lane to try and deny everything from Soaz. 2 towers will go down, should bounce back top lane, and Soaz can go grab that one later.
Keep trying to deny and keep Soaz off of it. There'll be a couple of minions that do escape from that as Niels and Mithy will be backing away. Actually, Niels is sticking around for just a second to clean up. There he goes.
Yeah, this is not the optimal way to play it if you are... Oh, Nukdog.
Oh, wow. In and out of the wind wall. Peke dodging the spear, but he's got to run away. He can't use his gold card on anybody.
So what we saw as well was Niels got all the gold from the tower once it died. When you play split pusher, especially the likes of Fizz, who wants to rush the Trinity Force, you need to make sure he's the guy getting that tower gold once it goes down. He's the guy sitting in the top lane, taking the wave once it starts pushing down towards him, so he gets extra farm. Soaz though was caught on the bottom side. I didn't get to see how he returned back down after the skirmish, why exactly he went there. He will get a bit of farm for himself. Obviously didn't get that gold. And ROCCAT now can push in another wave. Steve should go down and take this one-on-one. So Soaz is not in that much trouble. Just a different way compared to what we have seen lately when you want to make sure your top laner gets all the farm. It was Niels who took the gold.
I definitely want to get him ahead in this one, although server that's behind isn't as bad. Rollins has been keeping pace with this despite not being in the lane. He now joins up in the top. There's no tower for them to fall back to. Meanwhile, this Peke Nukdog lane has been relatively quiet since the early action. Nukdog did have a bit of a scare for Peke in the beginning with a little bit of help from his jungler, but he's nice and safe at the moment, and he's not keen on checking into the samurai.
Now again, Twisted Fate, you don't really want to take this one-on-one. You want to impact the other lanes, but it will mean he has to start shoving in the wave once he hits level 6. For himself to start porting away, and Nukdog will obviously look to then keep pressure, keep Peke's bug in his tower. When you play against globals, especially like Twisted Fate, if you can make sure he's losing lane and like shove him down to his tower and he's stuck very defensively, he always has to be very careful when he ults, because you don't want to give up a free tower by you ulting away, and it's also very predictable, because ROCCAT can see Peke then move away from the lane, being like, guys, careful, Twisted Fate has just gone missing. And ROCCAT, so far with Nukdog, is doing a good job. Constantly shoving down Peke. Should hit level 6 very soon.
Yeah, shouldn't have any trouble there, however, up in the top side. Pretty solid CS lead for Niels right now. They are attempting to freeze out Rollins and Vander. Bottom lane, a little bit of jungle attention, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. As Amazing jumps over the wall, Jankos looks for him, gets interrupted in mid-leap, but Steve, flash, twisted advance, they're looking for Amazing, they should be able to take him down and equalize the earlier kill, and it goes over to Steve!
Just like last time these two guys faced each other, Jankos was able to track down Amazing and punish him whenever he tried to invade into their jungle. This time around, both Steve and Jankos collapsing, getting the kill. Soaz again, he's gonna get the big wave pushing down towards him, but he has been set behind because, as we mentioned, he wasn't in the top lane. The tower went down, so they sacrificed him a little bit.
And he has to contend with Jankos as well.
Well, he should get the wave down to his tower. Nobody's gonna dive him here. It's only 2 guys. So
yeah, that's true.
We will catch up a little bit. In terms of farm, still not ideal for him, seeing as you want to rush the Trinity Force as early as possible.
So right now, at the moment, a fair amount of ROCCAT wards are littered around various key points in the jungle and, of course, in the river. But they're not really going to make a ton of use of them except for spotting that red. Conveniently, since they didn't have any wards there, they had them on the backside, but Mithy and Niels were able to go undetected. There is a ward being cleared away by Vander. Still, after that early bit of action, it's definitely settled down into a bit of a wonky laning phase. However, Origen still holds a slim lead. It's that first blood.
Yeah. Long lanes being pushed in top and mid lane. Saw a small difference, obviously, because Mithy was on the top side of the side, getting a few deep wards. ROCCAT not able to do the same on the bottom side. That's what you always gotta look for, though. Once teams start pushing up these minion waves, it's especially in towards the tier 2 towers. Look for them then to invade into the jungle after, because it's so easy for you to see where the members are of the other team. One guy's gonna sit and take the wave obviously at the tower, so you know one guy's stuck there, and you should have the numbers advantage. Obviously in this game where Origen runs triple global, I mean we can even call it 4 times global with the TC from SOAS. You have to be careful. You might say, oh, there's only one guy. Yeah, we can take, 4 people here.
And this can contribute to why they're playing so safe. Steve runs away from the Oracle Blade. It's a little interrupted there by Nifty. Nifty picking up his own blue. ROCCAT have had this style, though, in general, of just being very defensive in the early opening of the game. They don't give a whole lot up, but they don't typically get a lot. That's changed a little bit, but they need to be able to make plays on Origen because they don't want to be facing down this heavy amount of global presence in the later stages of the game. Yes, they've got some scale on their side, but they need to be able to utilize this middle pick with Yankees. So far, it's not really happening.
A little change here though from ROCCAT. After they pushed in the top wave, they recalled with Nils and Mythy, sent them straight down to the bottom side, took the wave, Source was already pushing to take the tower, and take the Dragon as well. ROCCAT is trying to respond with Morales in the top side to trade it, but Dragon went down for Origen, so a smart, quick little rotation. Steve is trying to find a lane to get any farm, but there's nowhere for him to go. There were 4 people on the bottom side, he's not going to take that lane. Top lane, Morales is taking it. Nuke Dog's like, get away from mid lane, come on, it's my lane. So poor little Steve is just running around the jungle, not being able to find anything. And even the bot lane here, notice what Nils did, if I saw it correctly, he tried to bounce the wave back again. So yes, massive freeze in the bottom lane.
Long way on the wind wall. He's got some backup though. Yeah. They have been able to bounce the wave effectively, and it's been denying a lot of farm from both these top laners. But SOAS, even though he was down in the beginning, he caught back up nice and fine. He should be able to get some more minions when they come into this tower, as almost dead as it is. Should be able to deal, throws the fish onto Rallis, looks to take the 1v2. However, he's not nearly alone because Mythy is there, prompting the flash away from Vander. Steve comes up to the top, but it's already a little too late. They may look to dive this with 4, however.
So ROCCAT made the correct move here, saying, okay, bot lane is gonna push towards Origen. They bounce the wave, we cannot get farm there on Steve, so we have to go 4-man top, take this tower, bounce it back towards us, or dive whoever's sitting there. That's what they tried to do, but they were just a little bit too late, and then all the globals obviously coming in. Nuke Dog looking for a fight.
Gets stunned up by the gold card. Yankos goes a little far forward and eats a Praise Seeker. Well, Rallis and Steve are continuing to push against SOAS on this top. He should be able to knock it away, and they're not going to attempt to push on him.
But again, we deny Steve.
Yeah.
ROCCAT takes the wave.
Poor Steve.
The full wave is pushing down towards SOAS, so Steve is now again running around, being like, okay, where am I going to get any farm?
Well, if he stays alive for now, he got taunted up, but he does return fire with the help of the Callista. Knock up, there's the last breath. Peke could be in trouble, but he's got a gold card in through the wind wall, and then he point blanks it. Back in tower range, Nuke Dog can't get any more damage on him.
We might just see Steve try and go mid lane and like dive on Peke. Knock him up and see if him and Nuke Dog
look
more.
Amazing. Goes over the wall. Spear's not going to connect. The sapling's down, but that won't matter too much. So as Urchin strikes away from it. You're right, Steve is definitely not having a lot to do this game.
If ROCCAT can use him with the rest of the team, like let's say Yankos and Vander running together, they can set up these dives. In the mid lane, like Peke is super low already. But nobody's pulling the trigger. After they already got a few wards in that jungle, they have Yankos here trying to poke from the side. Steve could have been here with the team and at least try and force them mid tower. Like they gotta use it for something. When there are 2 waves freezing, you gotta go for the only wave where you can get something, and that's the mid lane right now. Or you gotta go and send multiple members to push out one of these lanes in the sides to make sure it bounces back a bit faster. And Steve can get it. I mean, there's a lot of focus in this game here on how the minion waves are being set up once towers goes down. Who can get extra farm and who gets denied? As we said a few times, poor Steve. Not having an easy game. There's a wave coming to him now, though. So he's going to get some farm.
And we'll be able to gobble up a bit more of it. However, he has been set far behind, and you can see that difference with the CS and SOAS has acquired in his stead. So hopefully he can get a little bit back for himself, but for now, ROCCAT may have some time before they can utilize their tree very effectively. Yankos has been all over the map, mostly trying to influence the lanes, but because the waves have been bounced so much, it's hard for him to really get involved too. So I worry for ROCCAT going on later into this game unless they can get a big wombo of a fight.
Well, we have to remember the 5-on-5 team fight for ROCCAT is insane. If they manage to connect and knock up or displacement on, let's say, Peke or Nils in the back line and Nuke Dog can jump in, they will be able to win these fights. I mean, look at his damage already against Pushing target like Pekka. Double TP coming though.
Yep, Soaz looks to follow through. Throws the fish. It's
Mithy as well.
Steve is there. They are bringing Mithy to the party. Steve could be in trouble as he's taunted. Tries to walk it out, but he can't do it, or can he? Flash! And Soaz thought he had him, but he didn't. Nuke Duck looks to zone him off. And what do we say to the god of death, Officio?
Not today for Steve. Very, very close though. We keep talking about the amount of globals from Origen. Instantly 3 guys in the bottom lane. ROCCAT though will take the mid tower. Seeing as we had so many members trying to run down and help Steve. In the end he stays alive and he can still return and get this wave pushing towards him on the top side. No TP though, so he has to worry about the dragon if that is something ROCCAT is playing around. They should, because if you consider the fact that Origen got a fairly early first dragon, you always gotta start worrying about it when it's 2 or 3 dragons, because you don't want to let them have the ability to build it up. Nuke Duck though, my friend, you are overextending and you are all alone.
One samurai against the world. Throws the wind ball, but it doesn't matter. Gets knocked up, collapsed. Origen made that look easy as we get into a pause scenario here right after the fact.
So if we just look at the minimap right here when Nuke Duck dies. What happens when you're 1-3, one split pushing? If 2 lanes are too far behind, like too defensive like this, standing at maybe, let's say, the entrance to their own jungle, or they're far away from any objective to take, and you're down in the bottom lane on your own pushing too far up, it is very easy for these teams to just say, well, let's just send 3 or 4 guys and kill him. Because there's nothing else the team can get on the map. Like, there's no mid tower to take anymore. There's no top tower. No lane was pushing. So Nuke Duck simply getting caught out down in that bottom lane, and easy pickup for Origen. Have to use obviously a few.
Yeah, cool. Spend a lot, but see, the key is there's nothing else that ROCCAT get off of that. I mean, at the moment, you know, we're looking at the map. You guys aren't able to see it. They've got all their members split around the board. There's still a minute and 15 before the dragon. No one can really collapse and move on anything. And with these 3 or 4 Origen members down on the bottom side, yeah, they're not going to be able to get much for it. So it worked out well for Origen, and really a big blindside. I feel like there was a lot of miscommunication there on ROCCAT's side, because Nuke Duck should not have been that far out.
It happens very often though for these teams. There's like one guy saying, I just need one more wave and I can go back and get like a BF sword or something, and then they end up overextending because everyone else had already recalled and nobody, or they're not on the same page in that case. But it's a very standard communication issue or mistake, honestly. It doesn't happen very often for teams, but from time to time you get punished. We're gonna have to reset the map though, because as you said, now Dragon is not alive yet. So there's no objective to take for either team at the moment with this 1 kill. So instead, Origen should move in towards the dragon, set up here the map or the vision control now that the Yasuo is dead, and then be ready for that second dragon, because we're 14 minutes in. That's fairly early. You can start building towards the 5 dragons, which is such an important thing. I mean, we know how massive it is once you hit the 5. And it also will force ROCCAT, even if they fall further and further behind, to at some point risk everything and go for that team fight.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most annoying things. You're like playing against the clock, basically.
Well, and we know that ROCCAT, if they can execute in the right order, they have a really beastly team fight. We talked about that earlier. Clearly, Origen doesn't want to straight up engage them at this point. If they stack dragons, however, if they're allowed to do that, that can tip the scales pretty quickly. And Origen clearly are rotating around the map with a very quick speed at the moment. Get up to dragon number 3, for example, it's going to be even harder for ROCCAT to really catch them. So it'll be difficult for them to continue this split push pressure and force them into a very binary strategy of fight or run away. Especially
also because ROCCAT is the team who wants to 5 versus 5. So they need to be in a situation where they can force team fights and say, you know what, we're not going to allow you to 1-3-1 and use your globals. We want you to group as 5 and come in here and take the fight like a man, you know? Don't try and run away from us or wait for someone to come and help you. Just go straight, head first. That's what ROCCAT is looking for. But if you lose control of the map, you're not the ones who can set up the dragons, because Origen will always create a pick first and then take it, or you can't get that far out, you know, because of the risk of you getting picked off. So what ROCCAT is doing here is very smart. Vander and Yankus instantly, after the pick on Nuke Duck, sees an opening to go in and place a few deep wards in this jungle. So they're setting up for this dragon now in 40 seconds. Origen should look to do the same if they want to get it. Could also just again look for that 1 pick, go back to split pushing. There's no TP for Steve at least.
Well, Origen do clear at least one of those deeper wards, but ROCCAT have the right idea. Dragons listen him in a good way. No teleport on Steve, so he either has to make like a tree and get the hell out of that lane, or he could be in some trouble pretty soon. Peki and Mithy are looking to cut him off and cut him down. Mithy in range to get the taunt, backs away. Peki's got the gold card, sends it, but he won't follow up. He didn't have full vision on the map of Vander, and he was in fact coming up to help. So
yeah.
More important is the battle down this side of the river. 16 minutes, about 15 and a half minutes rather, on the clock. Very slim lead for Origen, because they have that one kill and that one dragon up, but they are down a tower in the meantime.
See it again though from Origen. It's just playing between the lanes, always roaming around. As you mentioned though, no deep wards. And you know what? We're not gonna risk all inning on the Maokai and getting counter ganked. Instead, ROCCAT gets to set up potential team fight around Dragon. That is so key for them. If they can defend this mid lane at first, that's obviously one of the problems in their composition. They don't have any safe waves. You're gonna get the Hurricane Kalista, who can clear the waves very fast. Yasuo can clear the waves very fast as well. But you gotta get fairly close to do it, and that's the problem. If the team is already sieging on your tower, they won't allow you to just stand and auto attack these minions. Dragon Bane starting again. This is what ROCCAT wants. They want this 5-on-5 team fight where Origen cannot use the globals.
They will be able to secure their first dragon of the game. Origen a little bit slow to respond, but they are now looking for a flank. Spear does not connect. Mithy goes in, pulls off the double taunt. The fish comes in, lands a nuke duck, but Rallis has already taken down the ninja, and Origen get cold feet.
Very key thing if you play support Shen in solo queue. You are not a massive tank. You are support. You're very squishy. It is very hard to beat engaged. Oh, they're going.
Oh, that's a last breath right there. Jankos is going to get the pick off onto Peke after that, and Soaz falls down. Rallis will get the kill credit. Amazing, gets a big bump up, but he is all by himself as Niels is trying to provide cover boomerangs, but he won't be able to get enough, and Jankos goes a-hunting through the jungle, gets Amazing, leaps away. It's going to be just like that. A 3-for-1 on the secondary fight.
And we talked about what ROCCAT wanted to do, and that is set up for this dragon here, so they can get a 5-on-5 team fight, not playing around these globals at all. This is the second engage, obviously. Beautiful play from Nuke Dog, and just collapsing for ROCCAT 5 versus 4 to get all the kills. But before here, with Mithy running in first, taunting them as support Shen, he goes down instantly. The rest of Origen were not even close to helping him, and just big mistake from Origen, getting punished. ROCCAT getting exactly what they want. And now once we start getting items like Righteous Glory, Talisman, hopefully, on Vander as well, you get to this point where ROCCAT can just pop one of these items, and they should be able to find and engage. And if you play against globals as well, take the fight to the globals. Gank the Twisted Fate. Or gank him, well, start the fight on the Twisted Fate, and he can't port in and get one of your backline carries, so he can't port to the side and kill anyone. And that's how you also can stop this potential 1-3-1 from Origen.
Force them to play around themselves. They were all grouped up batting after that dragon for a while. However, Soaz and Peke are looking for Nuke Duck. They bring Mithy in for the assist. They will be able to mop that one up nicely. Easy. Once again, the Samurai gets Scuttle wandering.
Yeah, such a good play around Dragon for ROCCAT, and then they go back to split pushing or farming triple lanes. Obviously not split pushing, he's farming just every single lane to get farmed with carries. But that's what you simply cannot do.
We're gonna lose the tower here if they're not careful. Jankos looks for Soaz. He playful tricksters his way away, but the Fate's Call throws in the Vander, and he gets a massive pulverize as Rallis will secure the kill onto Peke. Meanwhile, in comes Steve, throws the sapling. Niels is on the escape route, but he, even though he makes it out with the help of Amazing, they lose 2 after the fact, and ROCCAT, they know how to make these revenge plays.
We just see how strong they are whenever they get an engage onto Origen. Peke gone down twice now, Mithy gone down twice as well for himself, so Origen can create the picks. Really struggle in the team fights. ROCCAT keep playing around it. Red buff smited by Amazing. Instant backdoor to deep vision between Jankos and Vander. Together, you see even upgraded totem on the side of Jankos here. If you don't run with Sidestone, it's often very smart. You just upgrade your trinket then and get the double wards from that one. Obviously, yes, you sacrifice a sweeping lens, but then you gotta invest a bit heavily into pink wards and use that to deny vision.
So ROCCAT, if Origen checked too close to them, it just hasn't been working out, and this is the way their composition works. They are clearly playing it well. However, the mistakes they're still making here are not always sticking together. They want to cover side pressure and they want to be able to farm up. But I feel like if they can just keep playing like that and forcing Origen to respond to them if they shove down in unison,
yeah,
there's no need otherwise.
It seems so simple. I mean, I can't blame Nuke Dog for saying, guys, I need to also farm. I'm only sitting on one completed item at the moment. I know we're only 20 minutes into it, so it's not like he's that far behind. But he's saying, like, I need to go catch some waves in the side lanes. Again, we've got to maximize the farm we're getting. You cannot have your mid and AD carry sit together for the next 20 minutes. I mean, you're going to split farm, and it's not working for any of them. but that's just where Origen is gonna strike. So unless ROCCAT is pushing other lanes while Nukedog is farming and can then punish Origen, let's say Origen goes 3 guys bot lane to kill Nukedog, ROCCAT is like, okay, fine, we take Baron. That's a good trade then. But before they can set up these movements, they cannot split up like they've been done before. Like you can see Nukedog and Rad is now saying, okay, fine, we're just gonna hold hands.
Yeah. Well, even if that damage threat from Nukedog doesn't become as huge as we know it can be on Yasuo's, they've also got the Kalista, they've got the AD from that, they've got Jankos participating in every single kill in these fights. He's a massive AP threat at the moment, and it's only going to get scarier and scarier. They've got a lot of their bases covered as long as they can get these engages. Leave Steve to do the side, go 4-1 with this, and once his teleport's up, he's going to be able to do more. Dragon's another minute and 15 away. Origen here, timer's a little ticking for them as they need to be able to try and stack those up and keep ROCCAT from getting them.
It's keeping ROCCAT at least from getting them, that's important. You never want to be forced into the 5-on-5 team fight to stop the Dragons. But also Origen again is waiting for ROCCAT to split up on the map and overextend in one of the side lanes. That's the opening for them. What they can do is start playing around Baron Vision potentially. And if ROCCAT splits up, try and go for a pick, but it becomes tricky to really use the levels here. Shen is a support, in my opinion, who really shines in the early to mid game because of his global pressure, while he's still fairly strong with his base stats.
As long as he's not flash taunting into 4.
That is the one. He's not the main engage. He never is. He's simply not strong enough for that. But when it comes to late game, and that's the point, is you more or less just become like 1 or 2 taunts maybe in a fight, and that's about it. You shield from your ulti, so you don't offer that much in the late game team fight compared to like an Alistar. But obviously Mithi has still done an okay job so far, getting what he can. Now, Origen has been split pushing the lanes. You see ROCCAT not sending anyone to stop Source because they know 3-4 guys is going to show up. So therefore will take some damage on the tower. ROCCAT invested everything on the bottom side of the map in terms of vision. Origen played around.
So Origen were able to get a little bit more damage dished on that. They dragged a few ROCCAT members along for the ride. On the other hand, there is a wave starting to push in the bottom. It's going to be defended by the blue minions for a moment, but ROCCAT still can buy some time and keep the pressure up. So as his solo pushing up in the top can be dealt with by Steve, who has his teleport close to coming off cooldown. So as is available. That means ROCCAT are going to look to try and start off this dragon nice and quick. All the Origen members are going up top. Steve could be left for dead here, but Nukedog might be able to solo secure himself a Drake, and ROCCAT are perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, Origen knows they don't want to fight for the dragon. Instead of trying to trade it for top tower, but you can see, as you mentioned, how ROCCAT is keeping 3 guys as backup for Steve and already have a few defensive wards. So good little setup here for them, not leaving Steve on his own to say, you know what, you guys go gank him and kill him. And ROCCAT getting everything they want so far. We have to remind people, ROCCAT is playing for the playoff spot. If they beat Origen, they will face Giants tiebreaker for number 5 and number 6 in the standings. So they're both in playoffs. It's just a seeding. Obviously, Unicorns of Love is number 4, so that would be the winner of that match who will take them on in the quarterfinal. And H2K is number 3, so that would be the other quarterfinal. If ROCCAT loses this game, they are out of the playoffs. They are going to be facing Gambit, where the loser will go to promotion tournament, and the winner will get the safe spot, number 7, where you can basically just say, that's it for now. We're going to wait for next play.
Simple, though. Winning in. ROCCAT did do it once against this Origen squad. If they can keep finding fights like we've been seeing, they could pull it off again. Scarab's more vision in the river, taking out the crabs. Jankos really has been all over the place this game.
Yeah.
His presence is definitely felt by this Origen squad.
I'd be surprised, though. Jankos consistently been such a fantastic jungler.
Yeah.
All's been long for them. Nidalee is...
Even when the team hasn't been all the way there.
True.
He's been one of the few... Yamato said, oh, our problem is consistency. This is not the case with Jankos.
No, I agree on that one. Shining light for ROCCAT. I think it is surprising is the fact that Steve is not building Righteous Glory in this game here. Vanda is going for Locket because Nidalee is a champion who obviously builds full damage very often, so you don't go Locket on her. So he has to go for it, but again, that delays Talisman Righteous Glory from him. So there's nothing really to speed up ROCCAT when it comes to starting these fights, which could end up hurting them because they're looking obviously to force the 5-on-5s. The only thing they have is Steve having home guards.
It definitely could hurt them, but I feel like this still plays the ROCCAT style a little bit with the... They always like to go, if not necessarily late game, that's what we always accuse elements of, but they try to play for big fights that come to them a little bit more. They play defensively around the map. Now let's take a look at what's going on the bottom side. This is a scuffle between Steve, Soaz, and Mithi. Steve is exhausted. He's got his big ulti on, and he's flashing away to try and dodge. Playful Trickster, so has a void. Peke comes in. Peke will smash and finish it off. While they juggle the aggro, can Jankos finish the fight? Throws a spear, doesn't connect. Gold card, lucky strike. The wild cards come in. It's gonna be Vander who comes a little bit late. So that could have been a big pickup for ROCCAT, but they do not get the payout. Instead, it's Peke that cashes in.
They managed to get the kill. Had to use 3 members to take him down. Nuke Duck looking for Nils. Sport Shield was ready, but Morales just take the mid lane here. Origen ends up over-committing. Even sent over Amazing, even though he didn't manage to do anything to take it, and obviously because Steve stayed alive for such a long time in that 2v1. So ROCCAT in the end comes out ahead. They can now take a blue up, take down or put down a few of these D boards. Twisted Fate though, right here shows me why I really like him into some of these poke competitions, or not poke, but into as a champion to obviously create picks. And I was about to say into poke comps, but it's obviously not what ROCCAT is playing. But he was able to wave clear mid lane very quickly on his own and then join for that play over there. So he stopped ROCCAT from pushing at first, then got the kill. In the end though, Amazing also joined in 4 members. Took way too long to take down Steve.
Well, you know what they say. Chop down a tree and plant 2 wards to take a blue buff in its place. So ROCCAT were able to do that. But meanwhile, Origen are going to try to keep control of their side waves. Nuke Duck was solo pushing up in the top, but he's been a lot safer about it lately, and they are taking precautions with their warding. They've got a few deep ones in, so they are more able to spot Origen around the map. It really does seem like, despite the fact that they're playing back a little defensively here and there, trying to take a tower when they can, ROCCAT seem to have a better fix on this game, better understanding of what it is they want to do.
Well, I mean, for ROCCAT at the moment, seeing as you don't really have any chance to start a fight unless Dragon is alive, or if you start baiting the Baron yourself, you kind of just have to wait for Origen to make the play and then play around it. We see cooldown now on globals from Mithy, so that's one ROCCAT is aware of and can say, okay, we have a few more seconds before he's ready, but he should be able to join soon, and then we can look for Source, Mithy, and Peck potential to take down Nuke Dog again, or we can just take it to the global and kill it.
Looking for it, Peke is going to get popped. Jankos will manage to finish him up. Steve on the home guards run, looks for Mithy, who moves his way out of danger. Now the mid tower could be fired down. A couple of backs coming in for Soaz and Amazing, but they may not get there in time. Mithy and Niels will be. And ROCCAT aren't keen on pushing this one all the way in, but where are they going? Looks like we might be in for Baron.
Got the kill list that have double tangle. Well, they got Steve and then Vander
no
go out and
just
take
Mithy.
damage. Mithy can join. I mean, all 4 members of Origen is here. Always a sneaky ward inside. No ping is being placed. Steve, you have a ping. Put it down if you want to bait this Baron. That's ROCCAT wanting to win. Good engage on the mid lane. It's what you want to do. Again, take the fight to the global. Instantly just collapse on him. Vander was thrown in by Rallis, but then kind of weird for ROCCAT being like, okay, let's bait Baron, not put down a ping.
I think they might have been able to take that. They'd forced the backs of Soaz and Amazing. Yeah, you know, it may have been a little bit risky, and ROCCAT is definitely not the team that's going to take those over risks, but it was a lot less risky than if the Twisted Fate had been up. Soaz, meanwhile, will just continue to alternate between brush and lane, clearing out the waves that Steve sends his way. The game still fairly even. ROCCAT with a decent lead, but overall, Origen have been keeping pace and not making the mistake of engaging into ROCCAT any further.
Simply because ROCCAT doesn't have anything to speed up the team, so they cannot continue to just force team fights over and over. They need like Fate's Call to be ready to throw it into the face of someone from Origen to really start, or TP home guards from Steve. So they don't have enough options to force fights on Origen, despite ROCCAT being stronger in that department. They're simply not helping themselves that way. So that's why they were waiting for Dragon to respawn. That's why they know they can walk down to an objective and try and force Origen into that fight. Steve might try and set up a flank on go.
Steve can. Under the pressure right now. Dragon's getting fired down. They should be able to get this one away. It gets picked up. Steve, Twisted, advances his way into Mithy, and they just wombo on top of him, finally picking him off. Shamu comes out and takes a bite out of Steve, but his bark is very firm, so he won't be taking much more than a scratch there. 1 down, 1 Dragon secured. ROCCAT get number 3, and the movement speed that goes along with it.
Origen sending down 5 guys, but didn't want to commit to a fight and then realize, oh, what are we doing here? We have no purpose because we're just standing looking at them taking down the Dragon. Ends up getting engaged on, gives up a kill. Instead of just keeping Source in the top lane in this case here and trying to apply some split push pressure. Now he's going for mid lane though. ROCCAT saying, we don't care. We got minions. We got 5 guys pushing in.
It's going to take Toaz a while to be able to answer what they just did. And look at the number of wards they've got all over this jungle. It's lit up. all over the place. Origen aren't going to be able to move without being seen here. Amazing. Yeah, he finishes one off. Okay, sure. You're going to need a lot more sweepers than that to be able to do it. Soaz, in the meantime, does finish off the turret, but Jankos is close at his heels. He is able to get away, though.
And all the guys from Elements are probably sitting upstairs watching this game, realizing that if ROCCAT wins the game, Elements is also out of the playoffs. They would obviously be pushed down to being number 7 and would also put Gambit in the promotion tournament due to the fact that Elements is 2-0 in the head-to-head versus Gambit. So this game means a lot for not only ROCCAT, but also the teams around them here in the standings. 2 teams, Gambit and Elements, definitely looking at this one, cheering for Origen to win. But right now, it is ROCCAT leading the charge.
Yes, indeed they are. Gold may not tell all that story, but ROCCAT are making those moves around the map, keeping their vision up. Origen are trying to respond with side pressure. They've got a wave push back in the bottom. They're using Soaz constantly to try and push around. First in the mid, then in the top, back to the top again, of course. But Jankos is going to be able to clear it out, or rather, Nukeduck is going to be able to clear it out. Steve has been just running back and forth constantly. He's not going to teleport up, but there's still no global objectives for them to try and take. This is not a team that is just going to rush Baron, as we saw, of course.
No.
And Origen, well, some of their members may have in the past, they're not particularly keen on forcing themselves into a narrow corridor where that 5v5 is big.
No, we just get that very slow mid-game because one team is looking for that split push to gank you with multiple members. The other team is then saying, okay, we're going to play super passive to not allow you to do that. Defensive warding, quick moves between our lanes to go and defend whoever's getting ganked. And then we just wait for Dragons on the side of ROCCAT. So we get this very slow-paced game in that case until one team decides, okay, now we want to start baiting around Baron. Maybe force a team fight. Or where Origen says, okay, we cannot risk just letting ROCCAT go for 5 Dragons. So we have to overcommit potentially for a play in one of the side lanes and see if we can start pushing in with that if we get a kill. Which is so difficult for Origen to do that because ROCCAT is standing so far back on the map all the time. Defensive wards again, and they're just waiting for Origen to make a move or waiting to like throw Vander in there. Still no item to speed them up. Now Steve is going for Righteous Glory, 3rd item, so it's coming very late.
32.5 minutes into the game. Once they finally finish that one off, it'll give them a little bit more trying to start these fights off, but it's a long time in the coming. Jankos jumps over, looks for Amazing, eats a Prey Seeker. Gets one Ruby Blade proc off as he sends him on his way. The wave clear crew of ROCCAT is continuing to push this one back, and of course we have the old familiar duel, the tree versus the fish.
You could just see Peke move in towards the red buff of Origen down the bottom side and be ready to TP in. Then realizing ROCCAT is already pushing down towards the mid lane, and then suddenly you cannot go for the play because then you overcommit too many. But Soaz is winning on his own, so that is great for Origen. He has buffed up minion. Baron has been started, so ROCCAT saying, okay, we gotta make a play here, guys. We gotta try and force Soaz away, see if we can get his TP. Just very risky when everyone is alive on the side of Origen.
Origen didn't bite on that one. Soaz didn't get out. He didn't even start to use his teleport. Origen forced ROCCAT away with just a wave of their hand, really. And now Peke is looking to push on the middle. Steve is still working on dealing with Soaz under tower, and Peke's here with the gold card, throws the Chum the waters. This time the tree may not be so big. Soaz is taking a lot of damage, but he Playful Trickster's out just in time, and the tree will live narrowly as Peke oversteps his bounds. Jankos and Vander were there to punish him for it.
But again, for ROCCAT, they had to now give up the pressure on Baron to go back and defend Steve. I like the ban of Commando for Mythy. Using, if you saw before here, it was Soaz and then the buffed up minion. Taking down the tower, Steve cannot really do a whole lot against Mythy, so you always slowly but surely get some damage on towers. That's what Origen is playing around. Instantly though, ROCCAT reacts to it. They have 20 seconds on Peke. You start that Baron, and you just disengage if Origen moves in, and you take the 5-on-5 team fight.
Going for it, can't clear the other ward out, so Origen knows this is happening, but they've got no global presence from
Steve from behind.
Speak up. Steve looking for the flank. They've peeled off. Steve trying to lock him into place. He looks for Niels. Chum the water onto the Nidalee. Going to utilize his massive combo. Soaz, he's going down. Steve will polish him off. They've already picked off Niels, and ROCCAT can go back to the Baron in earnest here. It's going to be a hell of a job for Amazing to try and steal this one.
And that was a great Baron call for ROCCAT, and then instantly you saw every member was like, okay, we turn, we don't stay in the Baron, we just go for the fight. We know we can get the engage. With Steve TPing in. Baron going down, ROCCAT gets everything they want right here, even has the ban of command themselves. So now the wave play from Peke and obviously Niels mass effective rounds.
Mythy's not going to stop.
He's got
gold on his mind, that's for sure. Now, ROCCAT have got themselves a Baron buff for the next 3 minutes. The next Dragon is going to be up. Unfortunately, because of their back timings, they will have to give this one up. But Steve has the Righteous Glory. Do they want to try to collapse?
Oh yeah, they will.
Spec ain't amazing. He's around the side.
They're gonna rush.
They're moving. Vander's in there. The big cow comes to play. And they flash away. ROCCAT should be able to secure this one. Thank you very much for starting it, they say to Origen as they wave over the back of the pit. Number 4 for them. Baron buff on. ROCCAT are turning up the heat, and they are looking to punch their playoff ticket.
Getting so scary now for Origen. 4 Dragons, Baron buff, Righteous Glory finally on Steve. So ROCCAT can just say, okay, you want to split push? We don't care. We're just going to pop Righteous Glory, 5-on-5, instantly engage onto you. And just take, we have seen every single team fight heavily in favor of ROCCAT. Nuclear just dives in with the big tanks in the front. This tower is going down. Ban off command from Vander this time.
Origen can't stop this at all. Inhibitor goes down. Nothing else to do here. ROCCAT can back away and look to push other lanes. There's a few minion waves in the top and bottom they may want to deal with. And those quick backaways, Origen are looking a little puzzled here as they try to defend this game. They've got nothing to lose in it, but ROCCAT have everything to gain.
So difficult to play the 1-3-1 split push once you start falling behind, because you can never really get enough pressure in the side lane to force ROCCAT to send like a lot of people back to defend it, or obviously at the risk of you dying yourself. Because now again they can just walk down mid lane and just take a team fight against you.
Or top lane.
Or top lane.
I mean, there's no reason. Normally you want to split up when you've got the Baron buff to maximize the pressure across the lanes, but there's no need here because they just know that they can outfight any situation.
Yeah, and you can dive as well. Super easy. You got an Alistar, you got a Maokai. ROCCAT looking strong.
Very strong indeed, and they're making a statement here. You know, it has been a season of ups and downs for this team. We wondered at the beginning of the spring split when they were just dropping games left and right, where was this team that had gone so far in the previous year? They made a few roster changes. It didn't seem to work out. We heard from Yanko some weeks back about, you know, hey, I wish this had happened, I wish this had happened. But now they're on the cusp of making these playoffs. They still have a chance at a run far if they can keep playing strong like this. They definitely have pulled a one over on Origen at least once, and they look to do it again today.
It's such a standard ROCCAT game, though.
It's true. It doesn't have to be innovative if it works.
Trying to play it very safe and wait for the other team to make the moves, then trying to react instantly. This tower going down. Soas, he's gonna need to hurry up if he wants to take something. Pekka might just try and join him, and they're gonna try and base race them potentially, because they cannot stop this push anyway.
Oh, and just gonna force the flash. So we've got the makings of a race, but Soaz by himself may not be able to do much against ROCCAT here, and this may be the final push. Nexus turrets on, getting shredded through, as Amazing as well will go down. The last breath will help to finish him off. The last Nexus turret will fall. Soaz realizes far too late, and now ROCCAT, with this win, will secure themselves a playoff berth.
Yes! Come in here, man. Oh my God. We are in playoffs.
ROCCAT realized during the game how to avoid the globals coming in from Origen. They started grouping, they got the Dragons going for them. Fantastic team fights all around as a team here. And such an important win. As you said yourself now, they are in the playoffs. They will face Giants in the tiebreaker after our last match, Fnatic vs Unicorns of Love. Winner gets number 5 in the standings, loser gets number 6. Still in the playoffs, no matter what. This also means, as I said before, Elements are out of playoffs, but they get the safe spot in the league. They're not in the relegation zone, they're not in the playoffs, they're just done for this split. And Gambit will go to the promotion tournament, where they have to face one of the challenger teams.
But they do get to choose who it is, unlike SK.
That's true. They have obviously the higher seed, so they can choose whichever team they want to face.
The pieces fall into place here, so all we really got yet to battle is that seeding for the playoff race, and of course that will mean a lot as well. But ROCCAT, for now, smiles on their faces. I mean, very few times can you say a single game has so much meaning, because it could have been the difference between playoffs, which they just made, or a potential spot in the promotion tournament.
Yeah.
And that is, you can just see the relief on the face of Yamato as well as the rest of the team. Origen, maybe not the happiest about that, but you know, it's a game to test things out. It's a game to try something different and see if it works.